shooting down in the woods. He wouldn't leave it even if he could. 'Cause life is good, yeah!
Hickok45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the beautiful hills of Middle Tennessee. Yes, Tennessee, the home of Alvin York, Dolly Parton, and many others. Which, by the way, that reminds me, Dolly, where were you? We were in Sevierville at the meet and greet at Bud's Gun Shop over there, Gatlinburg area, Knoxville, your hometown, Sevierville. I'm crushed that you didn't show up. I was so looking forward to seeing you, giving you a big hug. Dolly, where were you? I came to you. I was at your town, in your town. Oh well, such is life. The disappointments, right? Maybe next time. But anyway, we were there. Dolly wasn't. So, what am I going to talk about? I don't know. You know, one thing I probably might talk about is I have a gun in front of me. Imagine that. A pistol. What is it? Come on now. Guess. Can you tell what caliber from that? What length barrel? Serial number? Oh, well, it's a Glock 19. I'll be serious. Well, actually, I won't, but I won't be that ridiculous. I know you can't tell everything about it. You could possibly tell it is a semi-automatic, right? Sounds a little bit like one. And it happens to be 9mm, and it's a pretty obscure firearm that, who knows, might be successful, might not. Glock 19. Okay, I know, I hear the moans from you folks that hate Glocks. But I've actually been carrying it this weekend. It's the Gen 4 too. Oh, how horrible. Everybody knows the Gen 4 is not reliable. And then it throws the brass in different directions, doesn't it? One might hit you on the head. I never noticed where the brass is going. But I like it. I do. Man. The Glock 19, again, sorry Glock haters, maybe tune out for a while. It's hey, if you hate Glocks, you must be tuned out of life. Just kidding, just kidding. Couldn't resist. But the Glock 19 it's such a, you look up in the dictionary, pistol, there might as well be a Glock 19 there, right? At least in modern times. I mean, I hesitate to go so far as to say it's the Colt single action of the 20th or 21st century. That would be maybe a stretch. But it's just everywhere. It works, and it's one that you can buy with confidence that it's going to be a firearm you like. I will. You know, there are not a lot of guns I just actually recommend and say, yeah, go buy this. You ought to buy this gun because that's up to you. Everybody has different tastes, but quite often if someone doesn't really know what they want, they've looked at 4 or 5 different pistols, hey, get a Glock 19, you'll like it, you know, and then go from there. Because I can't really tell you what is the best gun for you. And sometimes just not frustration, but, you know, what else can I do? I don't know you. I'd have to ask you a million questions, and I don't have time for that, you know, for every individual that asks those questions. So just, you know, get a Glock 19 and go from there. It might turn out very well that you like an XDS or an XDM much better. You might like an HK, VP9 much better. There might be 8 or 10 guns that you actually prefer. As you get into firearms and develop some opinions, you shoot, a lot of them. But, I'm covering my own butt. I know you will not be mad at me if I recommend that firearm, or Glock 26 for that matter. You will shoot it pretty well, and you will love it. There may be some other firearms you like better as you gain experience, but this is one that it's hard to beat for the inexperienced, as long as you're safe, and the most experienced. It really is. This, the Glock 23, whatever, depending on what caliber you want. Perfect size gun in so many ways. And I've heard rumors of some people who's in the training world, firearms training world, who are household names that when they leave the range, they generally don't have that big, full-size government model. They stick a Glock 19 in their belt. And I am not surprised a bit. Okay. But anyway, yeah, I got the Glock 19 here. I've been carrying some and just making sure I had my the right magazines. By right, I mean, plenty fresh, relatively new magazines if it's something I carry. The ammo I want and all that, relatively new or fresh, hollow points and that kind of thing. So, and I was digging out a Glock 17 mag. If I carry this, I want my spare mag to be a Glock 17 mag. Some of you might say, why is that? Well, think about it. Holds a couple extra rounds, doesn't it? And why not? Why carry a Glock 19 magazine when you can carry a Glock 17 magazine? You get a couple extra rounds for that extra magazine. So, have that out here. Also have a firearm I was going to go out and plink some with. Haven't shot for a while is the Highwall 4570. Hopefully you've seen that in the video. We've done one video with it. Beautiful gun made by you, Birdie. Oh boy, John Browning's first design, really. A sweetie, big old octagonal barrel. So I was going to launch a few chunks of lead with that, perhaps, if I don't yak too long. If I yak too long and run out of time on this beautiful afternoon, I'll blame it on you guys for listening too long. How's that? I didn't talk too long. You listened too long. That's pretty good at passing a buck, isn't it? You don't get much better than that. Hey, maybe I can use that if I run into somebody, if I rear end them with my car, I can just claim they were driving too slow. It's not that I was not watching where I was going or driving too fast. That person was just driving too slow. Or they should have been watching for me, in their review mirror. And if they saw me speeding up the road about to hit them, they should have gotten out of the way. Hey, after all, nothing is my fault, right? Isn't the world an expert at passing the buck these days? Nobody wants to be accountable. So when did I do a radio show last? I don't know, a couple of weeks ago maybe, or more. I don't know. I just thought I'd come out and yak at you. I know John's doing radio shows now, and he's really enjoying that. I think that may be his long suit. That might be something he prefers even over videos. He's gearing up with equipment, and he's enjoying that, and I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's doing that. Of course, you're getting to know him better from the videos and from the radio shows, and you can obviously see that in some ways he's a chip off the old block, right? Other ways maybe he's not. He's his own block. He's his own chip right there. I guess I'm the block, he's the chip. Get my analogy straight here, a metaphor. He's his own chip, just like you are. I'm sure you all are very much like your parents, your mom, your dad, but then you're probably very much different in some ways too. I don't know. But as I've said before in a radio show, I think before John even started doing anything, really, I think I mentioned how John really is an out-of-the-box thinker, and that he's not only is he someone who thinks outside the box, he's never even started in the box, I don't think. And I guess I have to take some of the credit for that, or the fault, whichever. But he sort of started outside the box. I've been a little bit of an out-of-the-box thinker, and try not to indoctrinate people with my way of thinking too much, other than you guys, by yakking at you, preaching at you. But he's enjoying that, and he may step on your toes or say something you don't agree with. Let him know. I think he has a nice style from what I've heard. I think everything he's done, and he's not. I mean, if anything, John's not an offensive sort of fellow, that's for sure. And I think one of his goals is to get people just talking about things and being calmer about things. And of course, doesn't matter. You're still inside a troll now and then, don't you? But anyway, I hope you're catching some of the things he's doing over on hickok45 and Son there. I keep saying I'm going to do some things over there, and I can't seem to get it done. But that's John's playground right now for the most part, and he's having a lot of fun with it. So I'm glad to see that. You never know. I might get hit by a truck tomorrow or something. And so he's going to have to carry on the torch. But anyway, that's pretty cool. And like I say, he's a thinking individual. He likes to think about things and sometimes take the alternative view, maybe just to explore it. But yeah, that's how you dig some new ridges up there in the old brain, don't you? And or ridges or gullies, or you just might come upon a profound idea now and then if you are at least trying to think outside the box. I always thought I was a lot like Einstein myself, right? Nah, not too much. But one of his little lines I always liked was, few people are capable of expressing with equanimity opinions which differ from the prejudices of their social environment. Most people are even incapable of forming such opinions. Yeah, most people not only can't express something different than what they've been indoctrinated with in their, everybody's own individual cultural fiction that we live in, but we're incapable of even forming new ideas, of even thinking outside that box, in which I guess we've all been indoctrinated to some extent. Of course, a lot of that indoctrination is good, isn't it? Maybe most of it is good, but it's good to think outside the box and, get some new ideas. And I think John he's pretty good at that. And I don't know, I can do it occasionally. I don't I guess talk about it as much, but I don't think like most people, put it that way. I don't act like most people. I don't live like most people. Don't have to tell you that, do I? So, but anyway, what else is going on? Who knows? Well, one thing that's going on is, as you've probably seen in the posting on Facebook, that we got a sponsorship from Bud's Gun Shop, which we're very, very pleased about. Well, I mentioned it in the video already, and I will mention it. I will thank them, and very happy to do so. They've been good about giving us guns here and there, as have some other folks. But we met them, Bud. We actually met Bud of Bud's Gun Shop, Rex, and a lot of good people there, owners and others, and really everybody, I think, just about, that works at Lexington location and the Sevierville location in Tennessee. And just good folks, because we're not going to work with anybody we don't like, that we don't have respect for, and feel like they're doing the right thing, or at least trying really hard to do the right thing, which obviously they are. That's why they have a A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. They make mistakes, I'm sure. You don't sell the thousands of guns they sell every week without messing up an order or something here and there and getting somebody irate, right, and thinks they have been singled out. But so that's going to happen. But by and large, as I see from feedback, and I have seen for years, people always bragging about, go to Bud's, or great price and service and all that sort of thing. And occasionally you'll see someone that's mad about something, but that's been pretty rare. So we're happy to have some support from them. Who knows where Google and YouTube and everything is going, and so we want to maintain our independence and our unbiased stance. All right. So now I know if someone's getting some support, whether it's financial or guns or whatever, you could, especially some troll, would like to make the argument that I'm a sellout or something, which basically just means he has nothing to sell, right? Nothing anybody wants, but usually, not always, I would be a sellout, if I started taking money from Glock, or Ruger, or somebody like that, because we do, in a manner of fashion, gun reviews, right? I don't normally call them reviews, but I guess we do, of sorts, in a fashion, after a fashion. So we intentionally don't accept, even guns for free from any of the gun makers, the major firearms manufacturers. So a company like, Bud's that sells everything, or the other companies, whatever it would be, a Brownells or a Midway, or, people like that, and I can name 5 or 6, that companies that are, they're in the business of selling everything, or every kind of gun you can imagine. That's, those are the only kinds of companies that we're really interested in trying to get some help from. And I mean, by and large. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there in case someone doesn't really know where we're coming from on that, and maybe they can come and listen to this if they have a problem. But somebody will have a problem with anything, and you can't steer your life based on that. If you don't have a hater or somebody calling you a sellout or someone giving you a really hard time about something, you haven't done much yet. Okay, might be something to think about. Here I go getting philosophical on the same topic, but really don't be discouraged by people, by negative people, or it might be a little annoying, they're a little like a gnat or something, but don't let negative people discourage you, or name callers or haters or whatever you want to call them, because that means you must be doing something. Okay, because that is a clear indication that you're probably being successful at something. And if you don't have anybody giving you a hard time or making fun of you or calling you a name occasionally or something like that, you really, quite honestly, might not be doing much. You might want to check your pulse there and make sure you're alive. Okay. All right, so there you go, some hickok45 philosophy. But anyway, like I said, we've met all the people up at Bud's and had dinner with Bud and Rex, owners, and they're just good folks. They're in Kentucky. Well, they're in my part of the country, and up there, my stomping grounds, and just they love guns and love trying to get them to people in a fair way. Obviously, because of their prices, there are some gun shops that wish they'd go away. I know that, but then a lot of gun shops don't, because they take a lot of orders in through Bud's, however you want to say it. And charge whatever they charge, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks for the transfer. And so there's some little gun shops that actually make a nice little income because of Bud's, but then some other gun shops aren't so happy, I'm sure. And I myself tend to buy locally. I don't buy a lot of guns online myself, but I know a lot of people do, obviously. And I do try to patronize, the mom and pop shops. I'll buy a box of ammo, some kind of hollow points or something I've kind of been looking for. My carry ammo, something that's kind of pricey. Sometimes when I'm in a shop, rather than just order it and a box of ammo, I try to help them when I can. And with guns, most of the guns I buy, are in local gun shops or gun shows. It's mostly things I have trouble finding that I order online. That kind of thing. But a lot of people that's their first go-to. And I ordered the Arsenal AK, the one we did a video with recently, in fact, online, because I could not find it anywhere. I mean, anywhere. And just about did not find it online. And I had been searching and researching and studying it to the point where I was finally finished. Okay, I know I want a Sam 7 Arsenal. Now, let me find it. I want it now before it goes away. and so I where was that place? Where did I find it? I can't think of it now. But anyway, I ordered online. It was a company I really wasn't that familiar with, but I found it there. Anyway, if anybody's dying to know, I'll try to dig that out. I have a receipt somewhere. What else was I going to talk about? Before I leave that topic, like I said, we are willing to take support from the right people, and we would really prefer to stay on YouTube. I don't know how many times a week people tell us, hey, you need to get your own show, or get to the History Channel or the Discovery Channel or somewhere, get your own show, make some money, all that kind of thing. And we've been approached by the reality show producers, 4, maybe 5 of them over the last few years. One was extremely tenacious, like they never got rid of that person, and they really did have probably the best idea, because they kind of want to do what we do with it. But I kept asking myself, well, why do we want to do that when that's kind of what we're doing, and it's going to kind of ruin it? Because I know how the reality show producers are. They've got to add the drama and all that goofy stuff. Reality shows are about as real as they're not. There's not hardly an ounce of reality in them, as we all know. And they just didn't want to run it. They talk some money at you like it's huge money, and sometimes it seems like it might be when you start thinking about it, though, and what it does to the project you're involved in. Not so big, really. Kind of one-time big shot, screw up what we're doing. So we turned them all down, and we'll continue, I think, doing that. I can't imagine getting into that. I would rather do what we're doing the way we're doing it on YouTube, but it would be nice to get some sponsorship, and the beauty of that is we control that. For the most part, we control it. Yeah, we're going to link, we're going to show our appreciation in a video and thank the companies that help us, but we're just going on with our videos like we always have. And we're not going to take any kind of support, any financial support at all. We'll take a T&E gun, that kind of thing, but we're not going to take any financial support from major gun makers because we're going to remain independent. And so, the videos will always be the same as long as we're under control. And this way, maybe we can make what, like, you all feel like we're worth, or we feel like we might be worth, closer to it here at some point. And still just keep doing what we're doing. Okay, so that's my preference. So if you have a problem with it, okay, but I don't. So we're going to truck along, and again, I hope, and I know most of you, probably all of you listening to me, are happy for us. I can tell from the Facebook posting. A lot of very mature people in our viewing audience, because almost everybody was expressing happiness for us, glad that we're getting some sponsorship finally, and that sort of thing, and so that's what I would hope, that anybody who supports us, that you support, whenever you can, or at least check them out maybe, or just or don't do anything, just don't troll. But then speaking of that, if you go to like Bud's Gun Shop, the link that I put in there, and John and I decided to go and put that link up at the top, which we don't do that for just anybody, I guarantee you. So it has to be a good supporter for that, and something we chose to do ourselves. So, but that link is kind of special, and they can track it, so they know that if people are coming from our videos to the website. So I'm going to let you know that. Just that's why I wanted it up there front and center. Because if you go to Bud's Gun Shop on your own, it doesn't get tracked, but not a big deal. They know that most people don't go through the links, but then it gives an idea, if anybody's watching hickok45 videos and pays any attention to anything he says. Anyway, I didn't mean to talk about it that much, so I'll shut up. Speaking of Tennessee being beautiful, had a great weekend. I know you're dying to hear about my weekend, right? Well, my wife and I did go down to Centerville, Tennessee, which is kind of, southwest of Nashville, Hickman County, to the Banana Pudding Festival, of all things, all right? If you like banana pudding, you would like that festival. Pretty interesting. Actually, we enjoyed the town of Centerville more than the actual festival. After I got my fill of banana pudding, we toured around the old downtown. Pretty neat. Crafts fair, some antique shops, and all that sort of thing. No firearms, unfortunately, but it's always neat to visit a different city or town. Now, I know there are people in the world who would think, well, unless you're visiting New York or Paris or LA or something, then what have you really done? Couldn't be too interesting, right? Well, I've been to a few cities. I've been to several times, to Chicago and New York and San Francisco and LA and San Diego and Dallas, and I could name most of the cities of this country of any size. I've been there. I enjoy more than anything going to some small town in the south, or in the north, but just some little town, especially a little town that's not on the way to anywhere. Now, I know that sounds like an insult, but if you know what I mean, not a bedroom community, in other words. There's a vast difference. Take a small town of what population? Say, I don't know, 30,000, 50,000 even, whatever size it might be, but some small town, what we would call a small town. If it's 30 miles 40 or 50 even miles from Nashville or Cincinnati or Dallas, it's a different sort of town because a very large percentage of those people work in that large city nearby, right? And they commute back and forth, and that's why we call them bedroom communities. Not everybody, but huge in numbers of them, and the economy is driven by that larger town. It's just the way it is. Well, I like to get out into the country, like off the interstate far enough to where maybe it's a road, it's a town that's on a state highway, but it's an hour and a half or 2 hours from any large town. So it's not so much a bedroom community. That people grow up there and live there, and have lived there their whole lives and never worked in some other town. So you notice the difference. You know what I'm talking about, a lot of you. It's just a different kind of a flavor, a different industry there, and it's pretty neat. The agriculture, just everything about it is a little bit different than the people. Now you could say it's more redneck, more hicks, or whatever derogatory term you might use. But it's not just a suburb, of Atlanta. It's not just a suburb of Nashville or Dallas or you name it, Salt Lake City, wherever you want to go, L.A. It's just a little different and usually an interesting place to visit. And that's kind of what Centerville is to me. It's not really a bedroom community. I enjoy that little town. Not a lot there, I guess you could argue, but pretty neat. Ate some little catfish place and everything out on the river. And the catfish, in fact, it was funny. It's a catfish. What was the name of that place? Catfish something, not Cabin. I don't know. But it's a very popular restaurant, and they have lots of other things too. But the catfish is not even pond-fed catfish, pond-raised. It's right out of the Tennessee River. It's in the waitress said, we have a guy who fishes for us. That's where their catfish comes from, out of the Tennessee River. How's that for novelty? Whereas usually if you have a catfish restaurant or that's one of your main courses, you have access to your supplier raises them in ponds and they feed them grain and all that, and they're really good and they're really tasty and they're tender for all those reasons. But anyway, I didn't have catfish, but I thought that was interesting. And also this weekend, I went to a Civil War reenactment. It was a very small one. The Battle of Riggins Hill up around Clarksville, Tennessee. A little community, Collinsville there, south side, old cabins and homes that are go back to the 1820s and 30s and 1850s, 1860s. Pretty neat. And I had a little reenactment of a battle that took place there. Must have had 6-7 cannon there, and boy, loud. That was pretty cool. And not too many troops, but enough to make it interesting. They were firing blanks, those wimps. I talked to the guys, the cannoneers. I talked to them about using real cannonballs and things. I said, come on, guys, make it real. This is lame, They weren't having anything of that, though. Easy for me to say, right? But that's pretty neat. I really admire people who do that. I mean, I've said that before, but I really do. If you're young or you're just whatever, naive, ignorant, rude, I don't think you are. You wouldn't be listening to my brilliance, right? No. It really, if you ever had that opinion of people who do that sort of thing, that has got to be crazy. There's something crazy about anybody who do that, dress up like a Confederate soldier or Union soldier and go out and play in the field and shoot. I mean, if you've ever had that thought, rethink that a little bit. Those folks are representing, living history for us, and I always thank them, and I just thoroughly enjoy that because I'm too lazy to do it, or I don't have time to do it, or the inclination maybe to go that far with it. So the living history they're providing is just invaluable. I mean, that goes so far beyond what you read in a book, and it's not just running around a field and shooting. It's just they always have encampments, and they're generally fixing food the way Civil War soldiers would have done it, and they're camping the same way, and showing all the gear and the utensils and just anything that they would do, the food. how they handled the wounded, and just that sort of thing. So it's great stuff, the living history. So I hope that I guess you call it a hobby or an endeavor doesn't fall out of favor with folks. I hope there are always plenty of people willing to do that sort of thing for us, for you and me. That is pretty neat. If you're familiar with the Clarksville, Tennessee area, Tennessee River, Cumberland River, the Civil War history, anything about that, Grant took Fort Donelson, Fort Henry up there on the Tennessee and the Cumberland Rivers, and early 1862, I believe it was in like February maybe. But he took both those forts and opened up the Cumberland River, to Nashville. At least that's what he was trying to do, and had to take Clarksville in order to do that, because it's between Fort Donelson and Nashville, the largest town, on the river. And he did that. He took Clarksville and moved on down into Nashville. But anyway, Clarksville, I guess it was 4 or 5 months later, maybe it was middle of summer sometime, they retook Clarksville. The Confederates retook Clarksville. And of course, the Union wanted that river freed up for their purposes. So did the South. The rivers were really important, of course, for transporting troops and supplies and everything. So whoever controlled the rivers, had a real leg up. But anyway, the South retook Clarksville a few months later, and then so I think Grant sent troops down from Fort Donelson, I believe, to Clarksville again, and had to retake Clarksville. And that's what that battle was about, basically there at Riggins Hill over in Collinsville, in that area, along the west side of the Cumberland River, where they do that. But anyway, it wasn't a major battle. You probably hadn't heard of it, even if you've read some about the Civil War. But it took place, and it's just like a 30-minute drive from my house. So I went up there and enjoyed the festivities and the smell of black powder in the afternoon, coming from a cannon, no doubt. So, do I need to remind you, I'm just incorrigible. I am a gun nut through and through, of course. I'm not making videos or learning about some new firearm. I'm off watching other people shoot them and reenact with them and admiring cannon and all that sort of thing. There just really is no hope for me. It never has been. Not since, I think, it probably goes back when I could barely see or stand high enough to look into my uncle's gun cabinet, and I saw all those gorgeous rifles lined up there. This is back in the day before you had to have a safe, right? Security systems and all that, wild dogs to protect it. And he had, his handguns were lying on the felt at the bottom of that display case, and Colt 45 single actions lying there. With kind of I don't know if it probably wasn't pearl handle. I always called it pearl handles, but they were something, ivory, pearl, plastic, I don't know. They were cool though. And he'd pull those out occasionally, and some big cartridges. Yep, I was hooked from that day on, I guess, and there's no getting around that, no denying it. I'm proud of it. But I do think about other things other than firearms. I mean, I do have another life, which I don't go into a lot, and no big secret life or anything, but I have other interests: bicycling and a motorcycle, messing around the farm, tractor, reading. I taught. Just again, so you don't think I'm a total nothing but a gun nut. I enjoy a good book. I enjoy poetry, believe it or not, and have for a long time. Enjoy good writing and reading good writing. Anybody who has something to say that is profound, maybe, because it's so different from me. I mean, I used to love to read. I don't do it as much as I used to, but Emerson. Emerson's a god. You get down to his thoughts, in terms of writing, talk about brilliance. If you look up brilliant in the dictionary, there should be a little caricature of Ralph there, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Thoreau. I got hooked on Emerson and Thoreau a long time ago. Walden's okay, still not my favorite. I love the stuff they wrote, some of the essays Emerson and Thoreau wrote, Self-Reliance. Oh man, I cut my teeth on that. Just great stuff. And other poets, Walt Whitman, Emily Dickinson, and I can name, and I can appreciate lots of anybody, whether it's Longfellow or Dylan Thomas, anybody, but there's just some great stuff out there. Hopefully you experience that too, if you're in school or if you're not in school. In some ways it's more fun and more enjoyable to read that out of school, particularly if you have an idiotic teacher trying to cram it down your throat faster than you want to digest it, or stuff you don't really like. I don't know. Sometimes we get turned off of that kind of thing in school. We really do. And I tried to be mindful of that when I was teaching, to not go too deep and not to give such assignments that the kids didn't have time to read it or savor it. And tried to try to allow them, I guess you'd say, enjoy it and relate it to their lives and in the world, the real world, the modern world, as much as possible. And my primary mission was not to turn them against, good writing, but yet to hopefully start a little bit of a flame there. And I think I was successful at times. I really do. And we read some good stuff, and we had wonderful discussions about it, and essays about it, and so I could tell they were getting it, and it was actually really having an impact. They were really getting it and really liking it. Some of them, a lot of them. Some aren't gonna like anything, of course, but there's some good stuff out there, and there's some really brilliant people who have put pen to paper, fingers to keyboard. Far more brilliant than I am, and probably you maybe, and just some really good stuff. One of my favorite books, and I think I had this on the home page of the old YouTube channels. There was a slot there for favorite books or something, I think, or maybe that was just something everybody put up there. I don't know. But Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance is still one of my all-time favorites, and it's not about motorcycles really. I mean, I read that thing about 6 times before I ever rode a motorcycle, okay? Or could have even told you where the oil pan was on a motorcycle. So it's not really about that, but it might not be your cup of tea. It was written back in, I guess it was early 70s. I don't know when he started that, Robert Pirsig, maybe in the 60s even. So it's got that kind of little bit of that flavor to it, but just there's brilliance in there, and the simplicity of it in places. And I'm always impressed with that. Now he gets pretty deep. He has read, the philosophers, and there are allusions to writers and philosophers in there that I've read a little bit about, but just enough to where I'm not too confused. But that book could be a course in and of itself, really a college course. But just the things that Pirsig, observations he makes in that book are wonderful. I mean, it's just. Early on, first chapter, I knew I was going to like this book. And again, I was not a motorcycle rider at that time. And I'm just a casual rider even now. But I remember what did he say? He and his son like to go on motorcycle rides, kind of based on that. He said they like to take the secondary roads because they wanted to make good time. But what did he say? We avoid the interstates at all costs because we're interested in making good time, with an emphasis on good, not time. Just the way he phrases things, really, really brilliant. I enjoyed that book, I have to say. I didn't really mean to get off on all this, but hey, it's the way radio shows go. Before I leave it, speaking of simplicity, brilliance and simplicity, and expressing those truths of life, I'm reminded of another poet. I really can't claim to be an expert in all her stuff. I remember reading it in college, but enough that there was one poem, Denise Levertov. Now, she might have been a really strange person that I would not want to have much of a conversation with. I don't know. But, with poets and some of the philosophers, their politics and a lot of their ways of looking at the world would not necessarily jive with mine, but still, you get the brilliance where you can. It's just like musicians, they're actors. You admire their work, but maybe there's some things about them that you wouldn't like so much if you went a little deeper, or you wouldn't want to have a beer with them, put it that way. But you admire their work. And Denise Levertov has a point. In fact, I used to use this in my classroom to illustrate a point. And I forget I think I can get it exactly, maybe not. But it's the first part of the poem. I think it says, 2 girls discover the secret of life in a sudden line of poetry. I, who wrote the line, don't know the secret. It's either that or I, who don't know the secret, wrote the line. I think that's the way it goes. 2 girls discover the secret of life in a sudden line of poetry. I, who don't know the secret, wrote the line. And I thought that really made a good point about how we interpret art and writing, and how we have our own interpretation of things, and how we read into things, what we want to read into them, right? Because most of the meaning comes from our own brain, our own self, and we paste it over what we experience. So anyway, here I am getting too philosophical. I promise I've not been drinking. Now, actually I've not even been, I know what it is. I started to say I haven't even been breathing gun smoke, but actually I have. It was that cannon fire, because that was this afternoon. All of that beautiful white smoke wafting through the trees, the oaks. That's what it was. They must have burned, they fired 25 cannon rounds. Of course, they were blanks, the wimps. I would guess from the sound of it, I've not fired a cannon like that, but I would say they must be firing about 1 pound per shot, because it is loud. And of course, those are big bore, a really big bore. So 1 pound almost would get lost in there. They might be firing 2 pounds with every shot. I don't know. Some of you all fired a cannon. Might have some insight into that. But anyway, that's what it is. It's the gunpowder. It's the black powder. One of my favorite things to breathe. Interesting how black powder, which is just black as powder can be, produces all that lovely white smoke, isn't it? Interesting. Okay, I promise no more poetry. Okay, don't tune out yet. That's why I like doing these radio shows, because I can just talk about anything, and some of you will suffer through it, right? So who knows what will pop up. As I'm talking, I'm installing a set of Talon grips onto this Glock 19. This Gen 4, I never did put any on it. Either that or I took them off. Maybe I did install, because I've had this thing a while. Maybe I did put the sandpaper grips on, and then I took them off. I don't remember. I do have a few Glocks that come and go. Mostly they just come. They don't go. They stay with me. But for those who don't know, maybe, I think I've mentioned this a few times. I've changed my thinking. Speaking of getting out of the rut and trying to change when you need to, I used to just swear by the what do they call the granulate grips? The sandpaper grips is what I call them, the Talon sandpaper. But because that's what I used. I liked that when I was shooting competition and everything. Man, I just wanted that thing locked into my hand. That was the most important thing in the world. Didn't matter if it wore holes in my shirt or my pocket or anything else later. I didn't care. But I've gradually realized that the rubber is actually enough, generally. Now, if I had a big Glock, big gun of any kind, I was going to just compete with, wasn't really carrying it, so to speak, I might put the sandpaper grips on it just to get that little bit extra friction, because you get the ultimate friction, of course, with that stuff. But I like the rubber. I've been converted, because I know a lot of you prefer the rubber because it's just, it feels good. It gives you that added grip, and it's pretty good. And of course, the Gen 4 Glocks have a pretty good grip to begin with. It is one of the very few on the planet pistols that I could live with it without the grips. The grips give it just a little bit of extra. Okay, I could live with it. Most of these firearms that come out, most of which you see on our table and me shooting, whatever it is. It could be the new SIG striker fire, the 320. It could be even the VP9, which I like. Lots of different guns. They attempt to get a really nice grip so people don't feel compelled to stick grip tape on them or other kinds of things. And I mean, everybody has a different approach to that, a different sort of cut on the polymer and you name it. But it's just not the same. Just not the same. Maybe one of the closest things I've seen to it is the guys that do the stippling. You know, if that's done really well, that might be the next best, thing right there. But just as a manufacturer's approach to it, I've never felt anything. It was really good enough for me. I'm hard to please, as you know. When it comes to a firearm, comes to a carry firearm, something I am going to stake my life on. How's that? So anyway, what are we going to do here? Oh yeah, what am I going to talk about? Maybe I'll write you a poem about the Glock. How's that? Been meaning to do that actually. Videos. What have we been doing lately? Well, you've seen some strange things go up. Sam 7, the Arsenal. The AKs never die. About the time you think I've given up on AKs or I don't like them anymore or we don't post anything for a while, out one comes because I never forget them. They are great rifles. They are fun to shoot. And it doesn't matter to me how many people prove that they're not as accurate as an AR or whatever they might say about them in a negative way. They're just good rifles. And for most shooting, like 98% of the shooting that most people do, or let's say from a practical standpoint, they get the job done, and especially that 30 caliber round. That's what I always come back to. If you had to run out of your house this afternoon because who would it be? I don't know. You're being attacked, and there's 8 people coming. They're coming to get you. Not the police, hopefully. No, these are invaders. There you go, from another planet or zombies. There's 8 of them, and you need a gun. And they're just coming up the street, coming through the field. They're less than 100 yards away, or they're 100 yards, whatever they are, and you got to stop them. Bunch of them, and they're going to kill you. Hey, what's wrong with an AK? Nothing. I'd be just as happy with my AK as an AR. Okay. But now, if you're going to go down to the bench to a really solid rest, and you're going to group those rounds out there at 600 yards, maybe you want a good AR. ARs they are inherently accurate firearms. That's cool. They're inherently reliable, really. If you keep them clean, they're both reliable and accurate, no doubt about it. So, but I just like the AK. I like that 30 caliber 7.62 by 39 round. It's cool. So I like them both, as I've said before. It's I'm not going to bash either one of those because they're both too cool and too much fun. I'll let people on the internet talk about how one of them is horrible and the other one is great, But I like them both and would be comfortable with either one. I will say, if I had to go to war tomorrow and had to carry one of them with a bunch of ammo, the AR wins out because, it's lighter, the ammo's lighter, and it works. So, anyway, 2 good guns. But we shooters, that's just what we do, don't we? We have to split hairs. We've got to have our favorites, of course, and we have to sometimes bash the competition. And it's that way in anything, I guess, cars, motor oil, whatever you want to talk about. People are going to talk trash about the other side. It's one thing. It just, as guns are just like anything else. It also reveals, I guess, the immaturity in people. I mean, really, I can have a conversation with someone about firearms, a short conversation, or I can watch their postings on the internet or on videos or whatever, and I can get an idea how mature that person is, or whether or not I'd want to sit down and have a beer with them, or if I'd want to bring up any kind of subject. You can just tell if somebody has a tendency to take that attitude, that's my way or the highway, or what I like is the best and your choice is stupid. If you see that attitude with guns, my guess is that same attitude permeates the rest of their life. Good chance of it, you think? So anyway, you're going to get that, though. Both are great guns. I really do like that Sam 7. I know several people said they like the gun a lot, but they don't like the folding stock. And I guess that's one of the things that I was attracted to, the ability to shorten that gun that much, because you can't really do that with an AR. Generally, you got the buffer tube, so you can't just cut off the entire back end, no matter how much you might want to. You can get it pretty short, but yeah, it's pretty cool to me to have a folding stock that is very stable, has a really positive lock on it, and swings all the way around there. And it's a nice, good, solid piece of tubular steel, and it seems fine. Now, in 5 years, I might have a different opinion. But that's one of the things that attracted me. I thought it'd be nice to have that. Because, the AK is kind of long when you get right down to it, especially these with that particular muzzle brake. That thing is kind of long. And I put it up beside one of my M4s the other day, and the M4 is shorter by, I don't know, I forgot, it was 2 or 3 inches. And that's an attraction, of course, to the M4, to the AR, because it's so short. But when you fold that stock, then it, I don't know if I've collapsed the stock on the AR and measured against the folded stock on that gun or not. I think it was shorter with the folded stock than the AR with the stock, fully forward. But anyway, that's kind of splitting hairs too, I guess. The AK is heavier, no doubt about that. Am I boring you with too much AK talk? Yeah, probably. AR talk? Yeah. Somebody on one of the AR videos recently said something about, oh no, another AR. Probably an AK guy. Either that or someone who just loves his over and under shotgun and shooting skeet and doesn't see any purpose for black rifles. You never know what someone's thinking about. Of course, they leave a comment. But, yeah, we don't. It's the AR, maybe the AK is not far behind, but the AR is the most popular modern rifle, in this country. And so, yeah, we have done several reviews, and we've still got another one we've not even posted yet, I guess. I'm interested in an AR, and when someone offers to send one, if it's something a little different, maybe a company we haven't explored, don't know anything about, but they have a reputation maybe for making good AR. I don't know. Just kind of depends. Fortunate, I've got a couple of nice ARs, but I know it is extremely popular among the shooting community. So, we want to have them on our radar if there's one that people want to see badly, or we get offered one that I know is a possible choice for a lot of people. So there you go. That's why you see so many ARs. They're so popular. Some people might be bored with them because they don't like them. I guess if I didn't like them at all, I'd be bored with them too. I don't know. But anyway, be that as it may, if you're really bored with it, I'll write some more poetry. How's that? Or I'll talk about poetry I'll write you a poem about this Glock 19 or this highball here. I used to have fun doing that with my students. We're going to do some creative writing, and I can't think of anything to write about. How do I know what to write about this? And I said, well, just give me a topic, and I just throw together some silly little poem, right off the top of my head, just to kind of get them going or laughing or see how stupid I was or whatever, and have some fun with that. But anyway, so you better behave, or I'll write a poem. Civil War rifle. Hope you enjoyed that video. I think, if I talked to you since we posted that, I don't know. But anyway, that is cool. And I'm a little bit of a Civil War buff, obviously, and not an expert by any stretch. Boy, there are some people who are real experts in that. They have spent their lives studying every little detail about every battle in the Civil War. I find it interesting, but I not to that extent. And I love to shoot the rifles and the pistols and the revolvers, and go to reenactments and battlefields. It's kind of interesting and fascinating that it happened right here, just within miles of my house. And I don't know, it may have happened on the compound here. I'm in Tennessee. I'm in Middle Tennessee. There may have been troops come through here. There may have been some little shootout that no one recorded. I don't know. Who knows what happened? I might find the remains of a Confederate soldier or a Union soldier somewhere here on the compound sometime. But might be one buried on the range over there. Now, wouldn't that be something? Somewhere along the way, my shooting has placed a round into his skeletal remains down there under the ground. And someone digs him up 1,000 years from now, and he's got a 5.56 round stuck in his breastbone, and they surmise that he was killed by a AR-15, but it's obviously a Confederate soldier. Figure that one out. I'm such a lucky dog to get to shoot all these firearms. There's no doubt about it, because I've got another Glock 26 sent to us by Guerrilla Customs that we'll be doing a video with probably this week. It's got a hard chrome slide and some things, stippling on the grip, that sort of thing. So they sent that to us, and we'll show you that. And I've already shot it some. It seems to work. Imagine that, a Glock. But, everything from the Glocks to, of course, Civil War rifles and shotguns, ARs, it is a lot of fun. And you might suspect, wow, don't I get tired of shooting and tired of shooting all the time? Well, I don't shoot all the time. I may go days without shooting, not too often. But I think it is the variety that keeps me interested. It always has been the variety. I think I've talked about that. I'll just go great guns shooting a lot of the modern stuff for a few weeks, and then I will, on my own personal side, when not doing videos, I choose a gun. Okay, I've been shooting that stuff enough. Let me get out some of the single shots and just go prowling around the compound, shooting the sharps, which I did not long ago, just last week, I guess, and just like getting out the high wall single shot here, take a few shots with that. So the variety really is the spice of life, and boy, is there variety. Think about the difference. This high wall single shot rifle here that fires a 45-70, it's just a little different from my favorite AR-15, isn't it? The bullet is a little smaller, quite a different cartridge. The gun is much heavier, much longer, much more powerful, throws a big chunk of lead, and it's just a single shot rifle versus a 30 or 40 round magazine. So they're two different universes. They really are. Just like when you're shooting a revolver versus a polymer Wonder 9 or something. So that keeps it interesting, and there's history associated with almost all of them. Well, there's some history associated with every firearm, but many of them have a lot of history. Even the old Glocks have quite a bit of history now. They've been around a while, since the mid-'80s, early 80s. So that's got a little time. A little time has passed there, too. I tend to still think of Glocks as being kind of a new innovation. It doesn't seem like it's been that many years that they came around, but, it's been over a quarter of a century. So that's kind of interesting. Some of you may be young enough where, when you were born, people were packing Glocks, so you don't really think that way. It's just all relative. Speaking of old guns, guess what we're going to do a video with this week, I think. Let me give you a clue. It's a firearm you've seen. It's one of my favorites. Could be, I don't know about my favorite. It's hard to say my favorite, but it is my favorite revolver, probably. It has been out on the table and probably in 3 or 4 videos, I would say, at least. But this is a significant year for it. Uh-oh, some of you got it. This is a very significant month for it. And me. It's a big bore. It's a classic. You want me to tell you? You want me to make your day and tell you what it is? No, that just gave it away, didn't it? Yep, the Model 29. I bought it, as you loyal viewers already know, or you long-time loyal viewers. Hopefully we have some new loyal viewers. who maybe haven't seen all those videos yet, you'd better get at it. But I bought the Model 29 8 3/8 inch 29-2 back in 1974. Bought it new at a gun show in Nashville. $389, I believe. And that was in October of 74. So guess what? It's been 40 years. Okay, that's pretty cool. A lot of people don't live to be 40, you know? So to have purchased a new firearm, especially a special firearm, brand new, 40 years ago, and have, having shot it all these years, every year, sometimes every month, every week, and some of those decades, for all this time, and still going strong, and still one of my favorites. It's pretty cool to me. It just is. We all get guns that we buy a revolver. We buy different things that they're kind of scratched up, or they got some wear. They're 20 years old, or 30, or 40, or 50 years old, and we wonder, where that thing has been, who's owned it. How many different people have owned that gun? It's got character scratches or wear on the blue that kind of gives it character too. Finish is worn off. The grips are kind of dark. Wooden grips are gotten kind of dark over the years, and you just wonder, how many times it's been shot and where and by whom, all that kind of thing. And so that's the kind of neat thing about this gun. When I look at it, the grips are like that. They're kind of darkened from the oil all the years and shooting, and there's wear on that gun, of course. But I know where it came from. Every time it was fired, I was there, and I was generally doing the firing, or it was someone I let shoot it, handed it to, and they fired. And that'd probably be a total of 100 times, 100 shots maybe. But all the other 70,000, 75,000 rounds were from yours truly, and it's still just as accurate, more accurate than I am, and shoots great. So that's pretty neat. So we're gonna give it a birthday here somehow, and feature that baby. Don't you think he deserves it? Yeah, I think most of you would agree. Let's see, what other firearms are new around here that will keep me from talking about poetry, right? Losing everybody. Speaking of that, we do need to keep in mind that there might be some poets out there who have interest in firearms. I do preach at you a little bit about that from time to time. I think we need to remind ourselves that everybody is different. Oh, how's that for a news flash? But I find more and more, and partly it's not that I get around and talk to hundreds of people every day, but I talk to more than that almost through email messages, and there are a lot of people interested in firearms, believe me, that do not fit any whatever stereotype you might associate with firearms, and they really don't. They really will claim to be liberal, or they'll claim to be progressive or whatever, and it's really easy for people to just assume that those are all firearms haters, that kind of thing, which is definitely not the case. We don't want to make enemies of anybody if they're going to support the Second Amendment, and not just because of firearms, and not just to guard our firearms rights. People fight over too many things that don't mean that much. My gosh. Just because somebody looks different, talks differently, thinks differently, what is the big deal? They're not hurting you. What is the big deal? Yeah, I know, they might be hurting me. They might be hurting you, or hurting society or something. We might think in our own little convoluted way that somebody is ruining the world by thinking differently. Yeah, maybe they are, if they're trying to kill us, right? But by and large, we just need to remind ourselves, myself included, that firearms interest, man, it comes from a lot of different places, and we want to encourage that by all means. Whoever it is and whatever their interests are, they're welcome to the fold. You know, as I've said before, if they're a friend of the Second Amendment, they're a friend of mine probably. Because people who have respect for the Constitution, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, they're usually pretty good folks. Okay? Like I've said before too, you might find some real redneck who thinks he supports the Second Amendment and claims he does, but he's the biggest bigot on the planet, and in actuality has no respect for the other amendments, you know. Would like to restrict everybody's freedom of speech, perhaps, or who knows what other freedoms. So if somebody is advocating, you know, freedom, that person's a friend of mine. If he's not trying to restrict somebody else's, he's a friend. And I mean, in a manner of speaking, he is, and more power to him or her. We need you in our camp. But what else could I talk about here? Oh yeah, I got off on poets, didn't I? And how it might be a poet who wants to learn to shoot. I know, it might be like that poet that did the video. What was it called? Oh gosh, not Edgar Allan Poe's Revenge, was that it? Or The Raven's Revenge? Some of you have seen that. We did that years ago. I wish we'd had a better camera, a better audio and all that. But I'm sitting on the front porch and I have taken liberties with Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, rewrote a little bit of it, and assassinated a raven. Right? So some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, find that thing. It's one of my favorite videos, even though it's the production quality is as bad as our very first camera. It's called, I think it's Edgar Allan Poe's Revenge. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. And ought to be shown in every English teacher's classroom in the country. But it was funny because at the time it was hilarious because when you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. There were quite a few people who left comments on that video. There might still be some of them there. Thought that I had shot a real bird. I mean, seriously, and they were not joking. They were not joking, and I know you believe that because you see enough comments on videos to know there are people who would think that I literally had killed a bird for that video. Now, if you watch that video and you think I have killed a bird, there's no hope for you. I'm sorry. Actually, that's not going to happen because nobody who would fall for that would be listening to this radio show. But as I was starting to say there, I am a lucky guy, and I know it. Being able to have all these different firearms to enjoy and learn about and then bring to you, and that's the beauty of it. It really is. It's a win-win situation. You know, the more firearms and more opportunities we have to get firearms that we want to get, that you want us to get, to bring to the video camera, you know, the better it is for everybody. And not to sound, you know, self-serving, but I mean that's really the reason that we want to have access to as many different firearms as we can, or ones not just a quantity, but you know, the firearms that make the most sense. It's nice to be able to get those and to you know, get them as T&E or as gifts or whatever it is, and then you know, do a video on them. It's fun, and we feel like we're helping out a little bit too. So it works out for everybody. And I was about to mention another firearm that I got in from Top Gun Supply. Yeah, what is it? It's a SIG P224 SAS. You SIG people probably know all about that pistol. Pretty interesting little gun. It's, I guess, kind of a counterpart to the 226 Glock in terms of the general size of it. I haven't really compared them yet. I just got it in a couple of days ago. I did fire it, 4 or 5 magazines worth. And it really, boy, it's a good shooter. You know, it's a little tank. It feels kind of heavy. The slide seems heavy. I don't know. It's my imagination or the way it feels. You know how a SIG sits up high in your hand, kind of. That's a little bit exaggerated with this really small SIG. Because I guess no matter how big, whatever size the SIG is, in that P series, it's not a striker fire, it's a hammer fire, double single action. No matter which gun it is, the mechanism of it, the double action mechanism and everything, as I understand, that's the reason you get such a high bore axis with a SIG. You're just not going to get your hand, your web tucked right up there, almost to that bore axis, line of bore. And when you bring that down on a really small grip, it's exaggerated a little bit. But so that feels odd to me. And I'm pretty good at handling small grips. I have trained myself to like small grips because there's so much to be gained from that in terms of concealability and carryability and all that. So it does feel small, but it's a good shooter. So anyway, I've got to shoot it some more and see what I really think about it. I mean, it definitely feels like quality. You do get that with a SIG, and this is it's a little bulldog. It really is, even though it's a 9mm. It feels like a little bulldog. It's got really, I don't know, a nice shape to it. It's kind of a melted. It's like it's been sanded down. It's an interesting little gun. So I got to get it out and shoot some more. So it's nice again to be able to experiment with a firearm like that, and all the other firearms that have come and gone, and some you've not seen yet. So it's good to know when, as I've said before, when things are going well for you. When you're healthy, you can walk around, you can do what you want to do. Hey, that's worth $1 billion right there. There are people who can't walk around. They are missing an arm or 2 legs for whatever reason, born that way, lost them in battle, or they've got mental issues or depression, suffering from horrible diseases. Gosh, just walk through a children's hospital or something, Everybody is not lucky, and it's, I don't know, it's not all luck, whatever, good fortune you might have is not all luck. But then again, why are you not dying of cancer? I mean, you might be, but why are you, not suffering from some dreaded disease? Some of that is just the luck of the cards, isn't it? And so we need to, of course, appreciate that. Speaking of that, here I go again, rambling off onto some side trail. I used to be involved in the medical industry and in a marketing and sales sort of way kind of thing, and I spent a fair amount of time in medical schools or hospitals too, and even children's hospitals, some, and different things. And oh man, if you think your life is bad, or you ever get to feeling sorry for yourself, feeling bad, just find the nearest hospital and go walk through the halls, if you can do it anymore without going through 14 metal detectors, but just walk the halls. Go to the children's hospital. Of course, they probably won't let you in there unless you have a reason to be there, but hang around outside. Watch people bringing their little kids in there, that are going through chemotherapy, and they're 5 years old, they're 4 years old, never done anything to hurt anybody, and they're dying or they're in really bad shape. I mean, it's an eye-opener. It really is. So the conclusion there is, if the only firearm you own is a BB gun, but you enjoy it, don't be envious of other people who have a lot of firearms. Enjoy the heck out of that. I remember a time when all I had was my BB gun. I had the biggest time with that gun. I really did. I remember my very first centerfire firearm, period. It was a .45 Colt, Ruger Blackhawk, the old action type. Bought it back in 73, early 73, or maybe it was late 72, I don't know, winter of 72, 73. And I was in high cotton. That was the only real handgun I had, other than a little .22 sawed-off pistol, nothing kind of thing. And I don't know if I'd ever have another firearm. That one was it. I had a .45 Colt, a single action, just like the cowboys carried. And I would take it out to the country and shoot that thing. Couldn't afford to shoot it much. And I loved that thing. I was just as happy a gunner as I am now. So it's all relative, isn't it? it was just so cool to have that thing. And when I got my next centerfire pistol, I've told you before, was that Model 19 Smith & Wesson 6-inch blue in later 73, I guess, maybe. I was the same way, man. What else would I need? Just cool guns. So enjoy the guns you have and shoot them. Know the history of them. I would advise that too. You might have a firearm around, because I get comments to that effect. People tell me, "Hey, I got one of those guns. I didn't know that," or "I know so and so used that," or "That was around back then," or learn what you can about it, and what the history of that particular model was. If you got an old Model 10 lying around, your grandpa left you or something, and you don't think it's all that great, but it's an interesting gun. Well, study the history of the Model 10. When were those first made, and who carried those, who used those, and who are some notable people who made history with those things? You might find that pretty interesting. There's just so much history to be learned, through firearms. There's no doubt about that. Well, as I've said before, I've talked too much, haven't I? As I've told you before, we have several videos that have not been posted that we've done, and again, we just post in whatever order we think makes sense, that keeps a variety going. And there's lots of different factors there, but you're liable to see a video that was filmed in the spring or in the fall or in the winter or the middle of the summer. And when you're doing videos outside where the trees are, that it's more obvious, unlike your favorite TV shows that are done in a studio where who knows when that thing was filmed, this week or a year ago, right? Or a movie or anything else. So there's telltale signs in our videos when something was filmed, maybe. So I can't think of one video that we ever hang on to, though, because we don't like it. Because it's not a very good video. Maybe we won't post that. It's just not. It never happens. If that's the case, it goes into the trash folder or something. Okay. The only one that might have come close to that was the recent posting, the 1876 lever gun that I posted recently. And that wasn't because it was a bad video. It just the gun did have some trouble. Light strikes, the weak hammer spring. And I wasn't sure whether because a friend kind of has become a friend that is up at Tennessee Gun Country, lent that to us. And I didn't want to make his gun look so bad. I hate it when someone like that lends us a gun, the gun he really likes, and if the thing doesn't work or something, it's okay, well, let's show the world that your gun's a piece of crap. I hate that. I'm always hesitant to do that. And I told John after we did that video, boy, it kind of makes the gun look bad. I hate that for him in a way. I should think we ought to not post that one. We already did. We already showed the gun in the Winchester lever gun video anyway. But so anyway, that was the closest one I thought. But then I talked to him a couple of times over the months and let him know we had some trouble with light strike. You been having that? Is that? He said, yeah, it does that. He just got a light hammer spring. So okay, well, I'll let you know. We'll still post it sometime. But we just don't have videos that they're not in the queue that we don't mean to post. We're going to post them. It's just a matter of the right time, or just when it comes up, its number comes up, or I'll look through them. We never did post that Glock video. Let's get that out. We haven't done anything with Polymer Wonders for a week or two, or a Glock video for a while or something. So that's just the way that goes. So don't read anything into a video that is showing it was done in the past, maybe months in the past. Or if we post something that was obviously done months in the future, don't think anything about it. It's just that magical capability I have, right? I guess I better shut up before I start reciting poetry again or something. But again, we appreciate you guys, all of you watching, because there's just so many of you, and the messages. I wish I could answer every message. It's one of the frustrating things about this, I have to say, is not being able to answer everybody's mail. I do read just about everything, so know that I've probably seen anything you've sent me. I just can't answer them. just no time, it'd be something a little short. Yeah, thanks, or something like that. And then sometimes that's all I do anyway. I just can't. And then the questions too, as I've said in vlogs and different things, I can't go into an essay. I'm trying to read through 100 emails or something in some morning, and lots to do, and I just can't. I can't go into a big answer, on anything. And sometimes I don't answer them because of that. If someone says, well, I know you've done this gun before. What do you think? How's that compare with this and all these different, I can't even, it's like 2 paragraphs long, and I can't even get through to read all of it, and I couldn't answer it anyway. I just kind of try to register it and move on. So those things, I just don't have time for that. And I justify that, of course, by the fact I don't have the time, but also that's why we do the videos. The videos are to kind of impart whatever information I might have, or John and I might have, about firearms. It's in the videos. That's the thing. And I just got into trying to answer email years ago, and I'm still trying to do that as much as possible, but I just can't answer everything. And I think anybody, within common sense can understand. You can imagine how many mails I must get everywhere, on Facebook and on YouTube, comments on the homepage there under discussion, of course, or questions, just all kinds of things. I'll get messages. People will send me messages at some of the forums. I'll see that I've got a message at some forum, at Glock Talk or the Glock Forum or AR-15 or just different things. And which reminds me, I got one there. Just saw pop up. I don't even go to those forums as much as I can't. That's another place to go, and rarely go to them. So you got to catch me at YouTube or Facebook, and I'll at least read it. And know that there's a 99% chance I read your message, okay? I have read it. I just can't answer it in a lot of cases, but I do answer a lot of them. And then, as you know, not telling you anything, wish I could answer more, but don't try to get to me through those alternative places I don't like. Even on eBay, I'll see someone wrote me a message, or there I would definitely won't answer anything unless it's about whatever's listed on eBay. I bet I could get a question on eBay about this gun. Maybe I can find him there. Everybody's swarming him with messages on Facebook or on YouTube. I'll sneak over there and ask him. I'll be sure and get an answer. So that's just the nature of it, the size of it and everything. It's one of the downsides of it. But, that's why we try to do the meet and greets. We try to want to meet as many of us as we can. And if I could just snap my fingers and be anywhere in the country in 5 seconds, I'd do a meet and greet 3 times a week somewhere. We just, hey, I'm going to be in San Francisco tomorrow for a couple hours. I would thoroughly enjoy that. Going to be in Cincinnati this afternoon, at the Dunkin' Donuts or whatever. If you're not busy, come on over and have coffee with me. I would do that. If I could just snap my fingers, I would thoroughly enjoy that. And that's also frustrating, not being able to do that, accept all the invitations. I've got some people in Alabama want me to come down there to a meeting, and some some soldiers up at Fort Campbell want to meet me at the cigar shop up there and sit and talk about guns. And they keep coming, and I would like to do all of them, and I will do some of them, just if I have time. I mean, there's times when I'll do that. Sometimes I'll pick one out, and I'm not doing anything. I'll be over there, and I've enjoyed some of that, but I just can't do too much of it. Here I'm sounding like a celebrity. I know. Sorry about that. It's just I love to shoot, and I love to talk firearms, and people that just want to talk firearms, that's hard to turn down. Think about you. You'd like firearms. You wouldn't be listening to this. You wouldn't be watching the videos. And if someone even someone you don't know, hey, man, what are you doing? You want to meet at the coffee shop and talk about firearms? Talk about black powder guns or something? Hey, sounds like a plan to me. So anyway, that's one of the frustrating things about it. But it doesn't bother me too much. But it's a little bit frustrating because people are so heartfelt. In their messages and so appreciative, and they might want to meet. They're coming from California or Australia or Michigan, and hey, I'm coming through there. I get 10 of those a week, people that they're coming through or something, and they'd like to come by the compound, or they'd like to meet and have a cup of coffee or something, and it's just weird I almost can't do any of those, So anyway, I guess I'm just trying to apologize here for that, and that I wish I could. It's not because I'm rude or antisocial. I think I'm anything but antisocial. I might be crazy, but I'm not antisocial. So anyway, for what it's worth, we really appreciate y'all, and again, that's why we try to do a lot of videos. We're trying to. That's our gift to you guys. Okay, does that sound arrogant? As many videos as we can do that we think are useful or entertaining. We're going to keep doing that, and that's what we can do. Is promise you that there will be new videos in the pipeline. Okay, can't meet everybody, can't write to everybody, can't answer every question, but we'll keep showing you our ugly faces on YouTube and some pretty firearms. After all, the firearms are the stars of our videos. That's what the videos are about. The firearm, not about me, not about John. It's about the firearms. What kind of firearm this is and how cool it is, or how much fun it is to shoot, or whatever it is, or what it'll do to a watermelon or something like that. It's about, they're the celebrities, they're the stars, and just bringing them to you. What it comes down to. That's been the attitude from the beginning. So we're going to keep doing it, as I say pretty often, and hopefully you keep watching, and we appreciate you being there more than you know, more than I can express. So tune in and see what kind of craziness is coming your way in the next video. Life is good. You've been listening to the hickok45 radio show. See you on the range.